welcome to the first ever episode of the University Rocket League podcast. I'm your host, Hemi. For now, I'm on my own. I'm just sort of recording this by itself because I don't really want anyone else here sort of messing with me, basically. But I would like to first of all begin off with a big thank you. Thank you for going onto YouTube and tuning in. This is pretty cool. And I think I'm going to start off with this sort of like unscripted explanation of what you can expect from University Rocket League for those who may be uninitiated. What's going on, what you can do, what to expect throughout the year, basically. So I think we're going to start with the leagues. So we have two main leagues for the University Rocket League. The first being NSC, the second being Neil. NSCs usually end up being played on Tuesdays, 7ish. Excuse me. And Neil about the same time, but on Fridays. So we have those two main leagues. I'll go into a bit more detail later on, to sort of to get people to understand. Because I'm guessing the majority of people who've sort of come into University Rocket League start off at those leagues. This is where I started off. So they are your primary sort of interaction with University Rocket League community. But we do have other places and other things going on. So we have community tournaments. I think there was one on Tuesday, the Tuesday before this episode will go live, Society Showdown. That was a fairly big one. Went on 8 teams from the top universities battled it out. We've got another tournament coming up soon, the Diamond and Below 2v2 tournament, which is hopefully going to include a bunch more new players who maybe aren't at the top level. But I think that's going to be very exciting. I'm quite excited to see what that ends up like. So we also have that to look forward to. And another tournament I think is coming up fairly soon is the Random Roster 4, hosted by Uni 6mans. So this is a sort of, you sign up, you get put into a random team that's sort of ordered by ranks. You'll have a good player, a medium player, and a low player, in terms of MR at least, and you just sort of, play that as a tournament. Those are always pretty fun. I hosted a few myself on that one, so they are definitely quite fun, and you should definitely go check that out if you can. But yeah, we have those as well, community tournaments. And honestly, I think if you're looking to start like a big investment in University Rocket League, there are 3 places you need to start. So we have the NSC and Neil Discords, where both of their leagues are run. And we also have the Uni 6mans Discord. So I'll sort of explain the Discords first. So NSC and Neil, big leagues, they have multiple games on them, CSGO, Overwatch, League of Legends, Dota, all that sort of stuff. So it's not just for Rocket League, those servers. You give yourself the Rocket League role, you get to see the Rocket League stuff. We have Cinereous around NSC, one of the most well-known names in the University Rocket League scene. And Neil being hosted, I believe, by Meow. That's why he's contacted for this. So, yeah, Meow's hosting that one. So you basically just join those. There'll be captains meetings, announcements on the league, all that sort of stuff. That's usually where you go for, if you're in the league and you want more information. You go there, you'll be sorted. And then the third I did mention was Uni 6mans. So Uni 6mans is like the normal 6-man server, except for university students. Pretty self-explanatory, really. There's, I believe, 1,200 people in there, both from NA and EU. I think we did try to go into Oceania, but you know how that went. Most people probably listen to the podcast actually come from the Uni 6-man server anyways, so they'll probably know what I'm talking about. I probably won't dwell on it too much, but if you are interested, go check that out. I'm probably going to leave a link to each of those Discords in the description of this podcast video, so if you are interested, go check down below. You should be able to see those there. And I guess I'm going to move on to talking about the leagues, one after the other, so just sort of a bit of a better overview of what's going on. So start with NSC, since that's what who messaged me first, because Cinereous is, he's on top of everything. So we've got the NSC. The main thing about it is it's a mass participation league with hundreds of teams at all skill levels. I believe currently there are over 115 teams signed up already. Sign-ups to close this Sunday, so tomorrow if you're listening to this on Saturday. So if you have not signed up, do go and sort of get that sorted. So the tournament system is a ladder with teams matched up against opponents at a similar skill level. You move up and down as you win / lose games, and the ladder is split into different regions. So we have northern and southern regions. And then at the tippy top, the best teams are in the National League, which are a mixture of northern and southern. I believe usually after the qualifying weeks, there are 8 teams from north and south, but then if more southern teams get demoted, anything like that, excuse me, if more southern teams get demoted, then there'll be more northern teams in the National League. So the basic premise is you have 2 weeks of placement games to sort of like gauge where your team is and sort of get you into the right place, so you're not versing people who are like too high level if you're a sort of mid-champ team, or you're not if you're a very high champ team, you're given a chance to go to nationals, stuff like that. You get 2 weeks of placements, 4 weeks of league play, and 2 weeks of playoff for each division. So then you have basically your regional playoffs, where I think it's like a top number of teams. They may change it depending on how many people sign up. Top number of teams, they have a little tournament thing. It's sort of a seeding throughout the season, and you do semi-finals, finals. If you win, you're the regional champion for that season. So this will be the winter season. I do have a note here as well from saying the semi-finals and finals of each division are always guaranteed to be streamed. They are actually streamed. There's usually a stream going on. I'm not sure exactly what channel is going to be on from now. It was usually on the Rocket Kingdom channel, but unsure if it's going to stay on there or not. I know NSC usually reserve their main Twitch channel for other games. But there will be like streamed games where you can show off your talents to your friends, whatever you want to do with it. Usually I think there's 3 games every Tuesday usually is what you'll play. You're guaranteed to play 3 games every Tuesday. So usually if you're lucky enough, you'll just get in one of those games, you'll be streamed. And the finals, I have a note here. Finals are usually on LAN, but of course not this season. Big Rona, RIP. And another note here: every team that takes part earns points for their university in the overall British University Esports Championship, the BUEC. I think it's BUEC, wherever. League tables. So you will be actually earning points for your university for those. I do actually have a control click. Okay, I do actually have a little table here from Wikipedia of previous NSC results. I'm just gonna go over them. Some information there. I'll probably include this link in underneath the NSC Discord link, anyways, just so you guys know. So we had, I believe this is, what am I looking at? Championship bracket. Spring Championship, okay. I couldn't see the word there. Lancers A won the tournament and got given £300. Portsmouth Paladins came second, £180, and the UWE Sea Stags third with £120, with Nottingham Trent coming fourth with no prize money. That's actually a good point to make. There are actual prize pools as well if you do get into the top 3. I believe both NSC and Neil will have a £600 prize pool. I'm guessing we split like that when it was 180, 120. But that is also one thing, if you are like, top level player, it's not just like, getting some points first when you may not care that much about it. There's actually, cash prize, there's a little bit of clout to be had from being an NSE champion, so you will want to take part. And I think that should be enough for NSE. I think we'll move back to Neil. So I've got a sort of little message here. Yeah, I did just check that they are the same amount of money or cash prize, but except, let's see, the Neil prizes are actually in Amazon vouchers, but are the same value. It's interesting. So I've got to sign up links as well. I'll probably put those in the description. It's going to be a big description. We have Neil Winter 2020. Sam's closed Wednesday the 28th and tournament starts Friday the 30th at 7 PM. The format is a week 1 to 4 Swiss, so seeded first round, and a 3 best of 5s per week. Excuse me. Top 8 go into the prize playoffs, which will be double elimination best of 7. Rest of teams will go into groups of 8 in the open playoffs, format to be decided, and weeks 5 to 7 all playoff groups take place. The stream each week, there'll hopefully be a stream on the Rocket Kingdom channel, and they'll be much more advanced than streams seen before, heavily featuring university colour schemes and fully custom overlays. And there's also a note here from Meow saying playoff format is not set in stone currently, however I am planning to finalise that way before week 1. So I have not checked in the old Discord, but I'm guessing there may be a sort of thing there saying we know exactly what you want. There's a graphic as well, I'll probably put on screen right now. Okay, that's just to sort of give myself a little place to know where to put it. A little graphic that was provided showing how this sort of Swiss bracket will go with the qualification of playoffs. And I think there's enough from Neil, but we do have one other thing. Cinereous and Neil and Meow are always looking for help. So there's actually a community volunteer post that I will probably link again in the description. So it's I'll read out for you just in case you don't want to go and click the link. That's fine. Reminder: we are looking for volunteers. We want to get more involved in the University Rocket League scene. Want to get more involved with the University Rocket League scene. Here's how you can help us out. So, league operation team. These are sort of the roles that they're asking for basically. So the league operations team assist with organising community tournaments. Moderator team help manage our Discord servers and Twitch chat. Stats team obtain and track our players' stats using ballchasing.com and Excel spreadsheets. Tech team assists us with tasks such as programming, Discord bots, website design, and in-game mods. Graphic design team create graphics to improve the presentation of our events. Writer publish articles about University Rocket League. Caster presenting talent for our broadcast. Stream producer stream the broadcast using software such as OBS Studio. And video editor edit videos for our events to create promotional content. And then there's a apply here link. So actually I'll just show the post in the image there, and then I'll put the sign up link in the description, so you can go there and sign up for those. Okay, I think that's all I have to say about the introduction to University Rocket League. So if you are new to University Rocket League, the community, welcome. I hope you enjoy. And one other thing, thank you very much for tuning into the podcast. There are a few notes I'd like to make quickly. During the podcast, you will hear some lag. I was too dumb to just get them to record their own stuff, so I recorded my Discord call with them, and I've been having some internet troubles recently. So hopefully, next week's episode will be of better quality with people who've recorded their own stuff. That should be good. But otherwise, do enjoy. We have a interview with a channel and 2 players from the Society Showdown tournament that happened on Tuesday, before this podcast airs. And that is about it. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoy. We are all good. Okay, we can start again now. Back to podcast voice, Henry.
Podcast voice.
Oh yeah. Welcome, one and all, to the first ever episode of the University Rocket League podcast. I am your host, Hemi, joined here today by
Co-host Vex.
And our first ever guest, a Channel 2. Please introduce. So we have actually written a quick introduction for it, a Channel 2, which I've just literally ignored completely, so I'll just go back over that. Okay.
No, I like all the words you've used, so I'd like to hear you say them out loud.
Okay. So, our first guest of the episode and of the podcast is none other than the legend himself, a Channel 2. You may recognise that name from NSE streams of Rocket League, or even as the organiser of the recent highly successful Society Showdown, which saw 8. Okay, I'm really shit at this. Which saw 8 of the country's best university teams facing off against one another. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
honoured to be your first ever guest on the University Rocket League podcast.
We are honoured to have you, aren't we, Vex?
We're completely honest. Let's get to it. So you ran this obviously wonderful Society Showdown for us. How are you feeling after it?
Tired. No, I'm joking. I'm really very happy with how it went, and I was chuffed a bit that we got so many sign-ups, and that particularly I think props are deserved here for Kiel and Liverpool, who managed to turn around a stream in somewhat under 48 hours. So, you know, huge props to them, and obviously to the other 6 teams as well. Like you say, we got 8 streams, which was absolutely fantastic.
Amazing. Well done. It has to be said, it was definitely a very good event to start off the year. It has to be said. But did everything go as planned, do you think? Any surprises?
On the Tuesday, the main event, so we had an open qualifier on the Sunday, and then we had main event on the Tuesday. Tuesday went pretty well. We were sort of expecting the Sunday to be the tricky one, because obviously when you invite 6 teams out of a total of 8, they've got weeks to prepare. They know who they're, producing, and they've got time to find casters and all of that kind of stuff. And there might be hiccups in the various stream layouts on the day, but other than that, most teams should know what they're doing, and they're all sort of established teams in University Rocket League. They've played series like this before. They know the drill with regards to, getting in and out of lobbies and all that kind of admin stuff works pretty well. But the Sunday was definitely always going to be the trickier one, and that is how it turned out. We had Cinereous' magic admin powers on the afternoon, showing us, ability to stop games and test servers. That was the key thing. We were logging everyone in while the casters did their sort of introductory spiel about everyone, and getting them to just test the lobby, make sure that ping was going okay, and that they had no issues with the actual server we were using. But that led to a couple of problems when I think it was Liverpool and Kiel. It was in the end the 2 teams who ended up qualifying, but Liverpool and Kiel played 4 minutes of a test game as if they thought it was like a proper, because we didn't explain it to them very well at all. So midway through the match, the server went down, because of course it does. So after 2 games, we had to switch lobbies. And so we said test in the thing again, meaning please test this and make sure you're happy with the ping, but we weren't very clear about it at all. And so they just went for game 3 and played about 3 minutes of it before we actually went, hang on a minute, you realise you're not being streamed.
Okay.
I've apologised to them countless times.
Nah,
do it again.
I'm fit that just happens, man. That's what you said. I mean, you
it
can't.
was fine. In the end, happily for me, saved my skin in that both of them ended up qualifying. So the fact that that series went a bit wrong didn't actually ultimately affect the way things went. The only other mistake that's coming to mind that was really impacting on everyone and I have my teammates on Durham B to thank for pointing this out, was that because I'm an Egypt and don't understand American date systems, I had the upper bracket starting on time, and then the lower bracket starting in mid-November because I've got the day and the month. So I did have to do a stealthy reset of the bracket. But other than that, everything went pretty well.
So
Very
obviously
nice.
we had for qualifier at the weekend, and that obviously brought up some good results with the likes of Sussex making it to the final before being reverse swept. I was wondering, did any teams surprise you in a positive or a negative way?
Yeah, there were definitely surprises. I mean, it was so hard. I spent, because sign-ups closed at midday, I spent most of my afternoon pinging Cinereous and various other people going, how about that? Does that look like a good seeding? How about this? How about that? I went through quite a few iterations just because so many teams have new players, have swapped around rosters, have had people graduate and leave, and so there were, I would say, well under half of the teams in there who were fielding exactly the same roster as last year, which made it pretty hard to sort of gauge where everyone would end up. But Sussex, a huge surprise. Put them in seed number 9 out of, what did we get, 20, I've got the bracket up here, 23. So seed number 9, and then they ended up basically coming third, depending on which way you look at it. Obviously made it all the way to the losers final, got turned around there, which I was very impressed with them. Other than that, nothing's really standing out. I was surprised by teams like Exeter, only because I'd never seen them play. So that's, I think,
They've had a couple good pickups.
they were going to be that good. I just didn't know that at the time. So that was, pretty fine. And then other than that, mostly it shook out broadly how you'd expect. Kiel obviously stormed through the bracket. I wasn't expecting it to be quite that easy for them. I think I did slightly underestimate them going into it, but other than that, I think everyone did really well. I was very impressed with a lot of the even B teams like UEA list. Obviously UEA were already invited.
Yes.
They got knocked out by some team from Bath. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No, I don't think.
No idea. No idea.
And then you knocked out Lankers. So
we did knock out Lankers.
Well done on that.
And and that's the thing. We've got obviously the new teams coming in. You've got like Aaron coming in and replacing someone like Tyler Lacto, so it's big shoes to fill. So there is a lot of chopping and changing right now.
Well, and Lankers were playing without films as well. I think on the day, as it turned out, he had loads of uni work to be doing, and they played with Hugo in the end. So it was a very different Lankers team to the one that was initially sort of mooted, but.
Indeed, and I think come start of the season, we'll probably see some different results because I guess it's that certain stage where you've got to just mesh out and try and get the rotations and the communication sorted. So it was really nice circumstances of this tournament just to try sort out those wrinkles and just iron a few over.
Yeah, no, it was really good. I think, like you say, for a little sort of fairly informal kind of afternoon for teams to just have a bash, see what they felt like about. I know. I think it was Aaron, like Salford Aaron, who said something about he was trying out thirds over the course of the evening in the main event.
Ah, yes, Jiggy, I think it is.
Yeah, it was Jiggy, and then obviously Deadly Soul as well. And I think he said that was useful. There are a couple of other teams just sort of mixing things around. I think Warwick in the main event also had 4 players that they were rotating through, although that might have been a technical issue. I'm not quite certain on that still. But yeah, it was nice, I think. And I was almost, and I mean, I'm not supposed to say things like this because obviously it's a tournament that I ran and I'm not supposed to be biased. I was really rooting for Sussex. I love an underdog story, and they did so well because I mean, I think they went down. Although they got round 1 and then went straight up against Liverpool, took them to 5 games.
Well, and that's the thing. It's they overcame. They narrowly beat a Northumbria side, which obviously would probably have improved this season, but. Then again, they also went on to achieve some really good results. I guess it just comes down to, I think Distan was saying as well, is they have a really good relationship, a really good friendship. Yeah. Him, TGX and Chinny, obviously a fan favourite. And obviously we saw that. Like, they played for each other, and they played to a really high standard.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was great to see because, yeah, Distan said up front, he's here now for a good time. and just to sort of have fun with his mates. I think he lives with Chinny this year.
Yeah, they do.
What I've heard,
they
yeah.
have a gamer house.
Yeah. So it's great for them. They were clearly having a great time all the way through, and I did, I was very happy to see them do so well. But obviously there are unfortunately only 2 spots. I would have taken, 8 or 10 of these teams if I could, but we wanted to keep a majority of teams who would definitely be able to stream their matches on the night.
Yep, very, very cool. Right, what's the next question? What is it like to set up a tournament? I'm not completely aware if you've done one before. Have you actually done a tournament before, for this Society Showdown?
No, not at all. I've obviously been involved in casting stuff semi-regularly. So after Christmas last year, I had a couple of operations. Wasn't really able to play Rocket League, actually play in a team to the extent that I was playing before. So I moved to a sub role in the first team and used that time to just get into casting and did a bit of production, but I'm still quite proud of production. So mainly casting, did NSE, I think I did a couple with EUR as well, which was great fun. And that just sort of got me, a working relationship with Sin. Got me into the kind of back rooms where he says things like, does anyone want to run a community tournament? And I thought, you know what, sod it, I'll give it a bash. I was supposed to be doing this teacher training course this September, and then obviously the world fell apart and the course isn't happening anymore. So I thought, you know what, I've got plenty of free time on my hands, I'll give this a bash. And it was really good fun. It was quite hard work at times, but I had a really good time.
Well, you obviously succeeded.
Well, I mean, I hesitate to take the success for this all for myself, particularly as it was a very devolved. I think of something like actual NSE League play or the playoffs, where you have one person who's in charge of coordinating all of the fixtures, and then you get production in every week and run a stream every week. This was great for me in that obviously the Sunday we kind of had to plan it quite a lot and make sure that everyone was okay, and we were running one central stream. But on the Tuesday, most of my work was running Durham production, because I just agreed to do that myself because I didn't really know of anyone else. I'm sure there are other people in Durham Society who could have done it, but I knew I could have given it a bash, and so that was most of my Tuesday was just doing that. And the actual tournament ran itself because there are so many, players who know exactly what they're doing and can read. Basically, I put all the announcements in at about lunchtime, telling them what the default lobbies were going to be and all that kind of stuff. And then there were so many brilliant production and casting staff who all had a great time and knew exactly what they were doing. So it was pretty smooth after the open qualifier, really.
Okay, I'd like to make a small apology. I was lagging a tiny little bit, like a couple of words, but it should be okay now. On to the next question. How did you come up with the idea for the sort of Invitational Societies tournament? Plus, like, the qualifier and stuff. Yeah.
Was not my idea. I would love to sit here.
Gasp.
Yeah, I would love to sit here and go, well, I'm just really clever, Russell Group University. But no, this was Finn's idea, as pretty much all good ideas are when it comes to UK University Rocket League. Sin or Zer, I would say, UK Uni 6-mans or NSE, and this was Sin. He said it would be great to do a tournament where you get some top societies involved and get them to stream the games. And the sort of main prerogative was that you invited most of the teams. Didn't have to, the initial setup was a bit different to what actually came out of it. So the initial plan was to just invite 8 teams.
Mm-hmm.
And have just basically a Swiss, like a week of NSE. So, you do 3 matches and the team that wins all 3 is the winner. But I sort of tweaked it a bit, mostly because we both decided that actually just inviting 8 teams wouldn't really generate the kind of interest on a sort of wider level. If you've only got, 8 universities, the others have no real reason to stay up to date with what's going on. But in the end, I think we had about 15 or 20 unique universities sign up, which is fantastic, and that really helped. And then I decided to have a bit of a dabble around with the tournament format. I'm not entirely sure how successful it is. I know we're going to interview a couple of people involved later, and I'd be interested to know what they thought about it. But we went for a group stage and sort of final, basically, just because I didn't want it to go on for absolutely hours, but I also wanted it to sort of be interesting through the end, if you see what I mean, because in a Swiss format, if you lose your first game, there's no way you're going to win anymore. You're stuffed then if you want a 3-0 record to win the thing. So I went for groups because there's sort of, game differential and all of that kind of stuff. Makes it a bit more exciting. But yeah, it was Sin's idea. In summary, I only just sort of took his template and tweaked it a little bit.
Then again, obviously setting it up has its risks, and obviously we do know Sin is probably the most important person in the UK and maybe EU Rocket League scene. Understated, I think.
Yes.
But when you decided to invite teams, who did you go about and why did you do this? Because obviously there was some generated discussion about who should and shouldn't be involved.
There was one person generating about 80% of the discussion about why their team should have been involved.
Or why our team shouldn't.
Well,
Are we gonna?
Obviously forced to eat my own words with Durham reaching for final.
Well, I will talk with one of our guests about this, because I own a huge debt of gratitude for not just crashing out without winning a game and making me look like an absolute tool. But I knew going into it that Durham had a good new man. For those of you who are watching, Will is a fresher, and he very narrowly missed out recently on qualifying for an RLCS minor. So, I knew he was going to be top class. But it was, the way I wanted it to be was to make sure that any team that I invited was, A, obviously good. I don't want to just invite sort of 6 teams picked at random from the entire NSE roster. I want to make sure they were all sort of at least national contenders. But I think at least half of the sort of calculus in my head about how I was choosing was to make sure that they had a good production side of things, which meant instantly that teams who have shown great promise recently but aren't particularly established, if you think of teams like Salford, for example, did great in Fusion.
Yes.
NSE not been their scene yet, but could well be this time round. If you look at teams like Salford, maybe they're not candidates for invite entirely on their own merit, but I knew that their production staff, Kiz, are absolutely fantastic. They've got a brilliant society.
And they also have an excellent team. Like
their team is brilliant.
They haven't been settled on that third yet, but obviously Camo, B+, of course, a very talented player, and Aaron, very talented as well. So they have a very talented roster as well.
No, they do. Obviously they do. And I mean, they are most definitely national contenders, but I had to seriously think about which teams would be able to run good streams and sort of have interaction basically from, so teams like, you've got to think Warwick, for example, were averaging about 40-50 viewers all night long because their society is fantastic, and they had they had some really good social media people plugging it all afternoon long, got loads of people into the stream, played really well. Obviously they're a great team, good to watch, but it was definitely as much about who was going to put on a good show as it was, just the best 6 teams.
Well, and I think also you did quite a good job of getting the best teams as well.
I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. There was only one team that... is that right? I think only one team. I'm sure someone will correct me.
UE by any chance?
Huh?
Is that UE by any chance?
No, it wasn't UE, because at the time I sent out the invites, it was very unclear if anyone was actually going to be playing for UWE. They've only recently, apparently, I'm not in their Society Discord, obviously I don't go, but what I've heard is that they've only very recently sort of put together a team that's broadly similar to what they were fielding last year. Okay. But up until only a week or 2 ago, it was very unclear that Severdam, Jordan, that they would be playing at all. So I didn't go for them because they were a bit of an enigma both on the playing front and kind of, I mean, Theorist to Win, brilliant production man, would have been great, but I didn't want to risk them not fielding a team like they had last year.
Of course.
Yeah, so no, the only team,
Severdam.
Well, it's very hard, and I mean, it was less that and more just sort of I didn't want them to feel like they had to sort of try and hunt Sebadan down, and I feel like there would be a subtext in that kind of invitation whereby I was expecting a certain team to turn up.
Yes, exactly.
And I didn't want them to feel like that, and I thought that if Sebadan was going to play, they would sign up for the Open Qualifier and make it through anyway. That was the sort of the reasoning behind it, was that if their team was going to be good this year, they would be in the tournament whether I invited them or not. And as it turned out, they didn't even play, I don't think, in the Open Qualifier, unless I'm very wrong about that.
They've not played at all, actually.
No.
They didn't even play in summer season either.
Yeah, so that turned out to be a good call. No, I mean, the team I didn't get an acceptance from, and I don't know, may have to cut this out if they don't want to be in there, was Bournemouth. I invited them, but Wardley fell in love, and so...
It's true. Bournemouth have a very interesting predicament. Obviously, the highest ranked team in NSE.
Yeah.
Not particularly looking forward to playing Rocket League.
No. Yeah, that was basically the thing. Initially, very on board with it, but then, yeah, things changed for Wardley. I don't know the full details of any situation that happened there, but in the end, they were very nice about it. They said, and they came back to me pretty quickly and just said, actually, we're really sorry, but we might have to give this one a miss. We're going to stick to NSE for this term and see how it goes. But they gave me loads of time, and so then I felt pretty happy turning to Durham and saying, all right then, you know, now Durham was the one I was sort of agonising over the most. The other 5 I was very happy with, and to be fair to Sin, he did say right off the bat, he said, if you want to invite Durham, I don't think anyone's going to begrudge you for it.
No.
But he, and it's a big one. I wasn't convinced about that myself, and I think had Durham not done so brilliantly on Tuesday, there would have been some questions about why they got in at the expense of certain other teams from, the northwest of England.
Well, all jokes aside, I think Durham actually are perhaps an understated team.
Yeah,
Mordicia and Zouch are very talented, and the third was obviously because Bath was scrimmed them recently, and they were still put on an impressive showing without Will. But obviously with Will, they're going to be even more excellent. And Zouch has come on leaps and bounds this year. I've seen him progress rapidly through for ranks. So obviously very talented side. So I don't think there was really any reason not to invite them.
No, the thing is, I think it was one of those where there's not really a way to say this without sounding quite sort of pompous, but if people had looked into it and gone, oh my goodness, Flirt, one of the best freshers coming into the scene, has gone up north, and now they've got a basically 1900 average team, people might have thought about it differently. I think a lot of people were, until Tuesday probably, still looking at Durham as the team that couldn't quite make nationals, and it was very easy, obviously, and I don't begrudge anyone for it, because obviously it's very easy for them to just sort of say to themselves, oh, it's what it is. They've invited Durham because Atch is running the tournament, and that's where he goes.
But I think this is another indicator of why this next season's going to be so brilliant, because obviously Durham, although a very talented team last year, couldn't quite get into a nationals, and this year obviously they're doing so well in the Society Showdown, so I think there's going to be a real high tier of competitivity.
I think it's been really good to see the level of play that came through, even basically second half of the Open qualifiers. By that point there were pretty much only national tier teams left, and even some of the ones that maybe aren't quite in most people's top 16 were playing absolutely fantastically. And if you compare that to what you had, a couple of years ago, where 1, maybe 2 grand champs would get you into a national league side as a university, then yeah, it's brilliant. It's always great to see that the depth is just increasing every season.
Okay. Quick. I know you've mentioned you've had some big help from Sin, the man we all have come to love. But did you have any other help setting up the tournament or running the tournament at all?
Yeah, I had loads of help. This is the question I've thought about the most. Mostly because I'm petrified of forgetting somebody. So
we can add it in post. We can add it in post. It's fine.
Yeah. The approach I've decided to go for is just to say yes. Sin, obviously, the main. If it would take you probably hours to scroll through mine and Sin's message history over the past few weeks, because probably about every 15 minutes I've been going with some asinine question to get help and advice from him, and he's been brilliant. Obviously, just always patient, giving me the time and making sure that everything was, going smoothly. He did a lot of the stuff that really, as tournament organizer, I probably should have been doing on the day. But I buggered off and produced Durham's stream, so he was keeping track of all the scores, updating the standings, all of that kind of thing, which was absolutely fantastic. And obviously we made good use, well, mostly good use, of his admin powers on Sunday streamed games. So he was, yeah, definitely the main one. But there were so many people. I mean, everyone who turned up did me a huge service. It was amazing to see that we could get, I mean, if you include invites, almost 30 teams playing in this kind of thing. So that's, just a testament to the community. There were loads of other people. I mean, I was very confused about it at the beginning, because even now there's about 50 people in the server who didn't sign up or have nothing to do with production or anything like that. But I think they were trying to get teams together. They came into the server. I think the majority of them, that's the conclusion I've come to anyway, were looking to do something with the tournament, but just couldn't get it to work for whatever reason. So can't forget about them. And then obviously just all the people who did production, casting. I've got to give special thanks again to Kiel and Liverpool, because they turned things around in 2 days. And in fact, I'm going to give a special shout out to AJ, AJWWW, I think it's only 3. Producer, NSE man. I messaged him at lunchtime on Tuesday and said, would you like to spend 3.5 hours of your evening doing production for a university you don't go to? And he said yes. So that was,
what a man.
Yeah,
what a legend
from him. Everyone who turned up to cast, we had neutral casters as well, people like Tidzu doing casting for universities that they don't go to.
Maybe
and I've got to, if I had to do one more, I think I've got to thank Freddie Musk. He, again, basically I think Saturday evening I turned to him and went, okay, I think it's best that I don't cast. Because I was planning on casting the Open Qualifier initially, because I thought, well, we're going to get, 10 teams? Be fine. I can just cast, and then in the breaks I can make sure that everything else is going swimmingly. But once we got past 20 on the night before, I was like, oh, hang on a minute. This is probably not going to be brilliant if I'm 80% of the time completely unreachable because I'm going out on stream. So I turned to some of my teammates, and one of them, Musk, stepped up, did nearly 5 full hours on Sunday, and then came and did the entirety of the Durham stream with me on Tuesday as well. So he did basically 9 or 10 hours over the course of 2 days. So I hope he's recovered from that by now.
Jeez, yeah, that's quite the task you've accomplished there, with getting so many good people around you to help you and make sure this tournament had a success.
I couldn't have done it without a single one of them, honestly.
Yeah, of course.
I feel like it's just one of those, like, I don't understand. I was thinking as I went through this tournament, maybe by the end I'll have a better understanding of how Sin does it with so many teams for something like NSE. If anything, I understand it less.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, I'm not trying to sort of toot my own horn or anything, but from Thursday, I basically just abandoned my uni work for the week, and I was doing this, preparing for the Open Qualifier, and then obviously for the main event, and just talking to people, making graphics. I mean, I'm really, really shit at making graphics, so that probably took about 10 times as long as it should. But anyway, I was making them, doing tweets and more tweets, Discord announcements, all of this kind of stuff. I just don't know how he does it for so many different teams, because I felt like I was working full time just trying to get 8 of them together.
Indeed,
So
indeed.
obviously, we think the tournament went wonderfully. It depends on everyone else's perspective, but we think it was all a big success. Do you have any further plans to continue the Society Showdown, or perhaps run something similar?
Well, I'd love to. The issue is, because I did discuss this with Sin, we were both very happy with how it went. You know, engagement was great. All of that kind of boring social media metric stuff went really well. Everyone had fun, which for me was obviously slightly more important. But you know, there wasn't really a front on which you could say, "Oh Christ, we've got to change that for next time." I feel like this is a decent format. Given more time, I would probably change the setup a little bit. I'm still not entirely happy with how the actual main event was set up, but I only have myself to blame for that. The problem is, going forward, there's very minimal time. So, obviously, pretty much every community tournament between now and Christmas is booked out. We've got NSE every week, which really limits the number that you can actually do, but we've already got a 2v2 coming up, we've got a Diamonds and Below coming up. There's others, I'm sure I'm forgetting them, and I'm sorry in advance.
Special with a 1v1?
Yeah, yes, of course. I can forget that, because sure as hell I'm not playing it. But there are loads, and I don't want to sort of dominate that kind of scene. I'm playing in NSE, albeit not at a high level. I'll be playing, so I don't want to just sort of say, right, I'm going to do 3 more tournaments and I'm going to make a weekly thing, and you know, because that's just going to take stuff away from everyone else. And the one thing we were initially thinking was, or perhaps after Christmas would be, you know, there'd be a gap, but it's an awkward time for, I mean, not for me because I don't do a proper degree, but for people who study, you know, science subjects, you typically have a batch of exams after Christmas, and EUR sets up, and there's loads of stuff happening, and there's not much space for the kind of community stuff that you can get towards the end of the summer. So I'd love to, but I can't really, you know, I can't say for sure that anything else will happen.
That is completely fair. Anyway, I think that is actually the end of our sort of predetermined questions. Anything you can think of, Elliot?
No, not really. So, we are now moving on to our first player guest for this episode, Zouch, also from Durham, alongside Achan2. Also with Modicia and Will, he fought his way to the grand final and thrust Durham into spotlight as they fought valiantly against UEA for the title of Society Showdown. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
So obviously we'll get right into it. How did you feel that you performed in this tournament?
Me individually or us as a team? Or both?
Both.
Oh, interestingly. Okay, so personally, okay, it was pretty variable. I think I played remarkably atrociously in our series against Portsmouth, though I think perhaps because of the fact that it was a completely pointless series, we'd already guaranteed the top of the group at that point. For example, one game I tried to switch the Octane, and I went one preset too far, and I played in the Merc. So I had to play
Bit of a dick.
Yeah.
The new hip-hop's not all it's meant to be.
I scored an absolute stonker from our net that went all the way across the field and didn't even bounce, and it went straight in. And then that was the highlight. But I couldn't hit the ball at the best of times in that series.
Yeah, there were some confused chat people on stream when it won in the series.
I
came out in this obnoxiously coloured Merc. We were like, what?
Yeah, I was trying to get. It was right next to my Octane preset. I mean, I don't know. It happens. But as I say, we had swept Warwick the series before, so we already had to wait for ages to play Portsmouth because they went to, you know, game 5 overtime against, I think, Kiel they were playing or something. And we just kind of wanted to get on with it, and then when we started playing, we discovered that the series didn't matter because we'd already guaranteed top of the group. So that, I mean, it was a rough series for us, but you know, it was still 3-2, and it was good games broadly.
I mean,
So-
I take a bit of responsibility for that because you came to me in that break, and that break was long. Partly, like you say, because Portsmouth ran over, and partly because I was trying to send out about 3 bajillion tweets about the group stages in between matches. But you came to me in that break and you said, do some maths, basically. What's happening? Are we guaranteed top? I should have said no.
Should have lied to us.
Well, you weren't technically, but you were so close that I think it probably was slightly demotivating. Because going into that last round, all that had to happen was that you had to win 1 game in a best of 5, or
Yeah.
Warwick had to fail a sweep.
Yeah.
And then you went to 1-1, and you were already guaranteed top of the group. So I think that probably.
Yeah,
sort of
we
played into it a
I'm
bit.
going to be totally honest, we didn't really care about that series. But
Yeah.
anyway, back to the question. I think I played decently. I had some good moments and good plays, but us as a team, I think we played very well. Crucially, I mean, Mordicia's obviously really good, but Will was extremely good at filling in all of the gaps in our rotation, because like me and Mordicia play together all the time, but Will, obviously he doesn't play the game anymore, and he hasn't for like a month and a half, but he just came back, absolutely 0 warm-up, 0 prep, and he popped off. He basically carried us, definitely carried me.
I think, having watched all 4 of your series on Tuesday, it wasn't carry in the kind of way that, when you say someone carried you, that's like, popping off with cool plays left, right, and centre and setting everything up. And he did get a few great passes, but like you say, I think it was more the fact that he just sort of let you guys play how you like, just slotted in really well, and just sort of facilitated, rather than sort of literally just saying, right, you stay back and hit the ball up to me and I'll do like quadruple flip reset musties on everyone. It was sort of a more wholesale. It didn't look like, unless you were really watching, that there was, I mean, really, it wasn't like there was a star man. He didn't like pull you through that tournament.
Sure, but it's kind of intangible, the benefits that he provided, because he was just being really smart. He was just being really smart positioning. He's good at the game, that Will guy. He's pretty good at the game.
Decent.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you went from last season, from being top of the regionals quite comfortably, to doing so well in this tournament. How did you guys feel going into the final of like a quite competitive little tournament?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, we were very eager to get on with it, because we had been waiting for a long time, and been playing for a long time.
What does
but-
angsty mean? Can you define angsty?
Particularly in a state of anxiety and anticipation,
Okay.
eager to proceed with events.
He messaged me midway through the last break, the really long one. Went, can you hurry up? Can you hurry up? We're getting angsty.
Yeah, it was true. Anyway, but also, I mean, more specifically, we weren't really expecting to play UEA, because they, on paper, definitely were not the strongest team, especially with their newest roster change and their newest addition. Although I did know that they had been scrimming a hell of a lot, like they play together multiple times a week, which is not something to be underrated. And I think that compensated massively for them not being, on paper, the strongest team. So we were kind of expecting to play Salford, probably on paper would be the one.
Loughborough, yeah. So it was quite a...
Yeah, and it was unexpected to play UEA, but obviously they didn't drop a series on their way there, so we didn't underestimate them necessarily. But I think we felt pretty neutral, except we very much just wanted to actually play. We've been waiting a while. Yeah.
I guess that's probably a good chance to segue into a question I think Achin wanted to ask.
So, obviously, I have played in a couple of tournaments, but I certainly at this point would consider myself a bit more of a sort of background person, and you've obviously played in a lot more kind of tournament structure things, and I just wanted to know, honestly, whether or not you thought the tournament was good in its format.
Yeah, I think it definitely was good. I think it was appropriate to the context of it's
Oh, God.
in the want to showcase all the different, and I think it achieved that effectively in having a group stage where, you know, if you're at the top of the group, you play the parallel team in the other group. It allows a lot of matchups to take place, and it definitely stratifies the better teams on the day from the worst teams. It was just a bit unfortunate that, as I say, one of our series was inconsequential, but that's the kind of risk you run in that kind of group stage format.
Well, this is the thing, and I will, after this, shut up about how I feel about the tournament. But the way I formatted it was so that, like you say, you're, you know, five-head person in that you've seen straight through the actual aim of the tournament, which, like you say, I wasn't, you know, there's no prize money, I'm broke, there's no sort of, you know, big prestige on the line. I just wanted to make sure that everyone got a proportional amount of time in-game and on air to get some good streams out. And yeah, the way I ended up doing it meant that every team played a minimum of 3 series and a maximum of 4, so it was quite easy to sort of advertise as a chunk of time. And the one thing that was a little bit of a shame, but I don't regret, was that in the end, had a couple of conversations with Sin, and he went, because the initial plan, as Zouch will know, was that everyone played a playoff match, first against first from the group, second against second, and so on. And then that way you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It came to my attention, thanks to some prudent observations from people like Sin, that actually, if you've crashed out the groups 0 and 3 and are, you know, stone dead last at the bottom, you're probably not in the right headspace to then be going for a playoff. So I made all of the playoffs except the first place match optional, and I think in the end it was only your one that ended up being played, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think, like you say, it just had to be a certain way to make the context right.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
Next.
I guess we can, obviously you finished second, doing quite well, so we can look back and say, would you have done anything different had you been given a second chance?
Well, not really, because with Will not wanting to play the game at all, which is totally fair enough, we would always be going into the tournament without doing any preparation. I mean...
Pick the Octane in Game 3?
well, in the completely pointless series, but that's not. I don't think that there's too much we could have done. But if we had obviously perfect hindsight, perhaps play safer in the grand finals. Ultimately, it was 1-goal games, and the series was 3-0, so it was close games,
Yeah.
and it ended with a spectacular own goal. But you know, yeah, with perfect hindsight, probably play a lot safer. It was mostly breakaway counterattacks that made us concede. UEA had a very, very solid but also quite turtling up style that was probably a consequence of their having scrimmed together so much and not relying on particular pressure to generate goals. So yeah, I don't know. I think I could have played, well, I certainly could have played a lot better, but I think perhaps I was expecting to have to play faster than I really needed to. I think we should have focused on aggregate pressure rather than generating particularly effective single plays.
Very true, very true.
Sorry,
go ahead. No, please.
I
Please.
kind of disadvantaged Durham inadvertently, not in a deliberate fashion, but like you say, the fact that that last group stage series was decided in your favour by game 2, you know, regardless of what actually happened in the rest of it, probably didn't give you the best sort of mindset. You probably, I don't know, maybe you'd disagree, but if I was in that kind of situation, I'd sort of, maybe subconsciously, but just sort of like cool off a bit. You know, you've played, it's then quite hard coming into a series that is supposed to mean a bit more. And I mean, I tried to format it so that the most interesting group stage matches would be the last round, you know, to decide between first and second. And I put that as the Kiel Warwick match, which shows you how catastrophically I misjudged how events in that group would turn out. But
Yeah.
I don't know if you think. Do you think that perhaps wasn't, ideal in the headspace for you guys?
In the headphones.
In the headphones. Ideal in the headphones.
I mean, I don't know. These are pretty small margins that we're discussing, and ultimately you just need to evaluate how you played versus how they played, and not dig too deep into the
You can
mental
overread it,
predispositions
can't you?
before the series. But probably, I mean, we probably overextended a little bit because we had no prior experience playing against them, and we were, as I've said, very eager to get on with it. So we probably went a little bit too hard. They're a great team. Though. I'm not taking anything away from them. They definitely deserved
you
it.
got it done quickly.
True.
For your
That
grand
we
final
did.
performance, yeah.
Very, very cool. Okay, move on to another section now. We got probably are you sent some clips, Zouch?
Yeah, I sent you 4.
You've sent me 4 clips. So I have to ask, because you sent me the 4 clips, what was the highlight of your tournament? What was your personal highlight?
You want me to name one single event?
I mean, if you want to do more than one, go for it. There's no structure to this. You just say what you want, man.
Well, I'll go through the particular clips that I sent. I didn't spend too long thinking about this, but these were the ones that came to mind. That we had some very nice 0-second goals. Namely, there was one against Portsmouth where it was 0-0 the whole game, and then in the very last seconds we had a breakaway chance, and I managed to pass it vaguely middle, although the pass was pretty horrendous. And then Will just bonked it slightly high enough so that it grazed over the line, and we won the game.
Yeah,
1-0
there were some questions about that on stream, but
Yeah,
Oh,
it was.
it did go over the line.
It
Obviously.
did go over the line.
Fantastic moment.
So that would be the first. Second would be, I don't know. I think we just played a really, really solid game against Kiel. I sent you the winning goal because it was a good 3-man play.
Yeah.
I got a nice pass in the middle for Will. Will did a very, very smart backboard touch, and then Mordisha did a great shot, and that kind of summed up that series. I think we played really well and very solidly as a team.
And I think, like you were saying, given that Will had come back in after such a long break, completely cold, to get those kind of passing plays is all the more fantastic, because that's the kind of thing that you would maybe expect more from a team that playing together for ages and scrimming loads.
Yeah.
For him to be able to slot in like that and just be in
And
was amazing.
another one was Will got a great bump on Psycho.
Yeah.
He went up for this aerial, and everybody's like, "What's he gonna do next?" And then he annihilates Psycho on the goal line, completely sat on him. It was great. It was such a floppy aerial, and it was perfect. That was very hype. Yeah. And then the fourth and final, and maybe foremost one, was this great another 0-second winner, where some strange bounce happens where I basically can collect possession into a dribble, and then Will goes driving on ahead. He forces Walden to aerial for it at the near post, and then I manage to flick it like over him, and then in the same line, this is something that you don't see in the clip or on the stream, but Will like zeroes in on Gopher, who's coming back to try and save it, and just takes him out, and then I have an open net, and we scored and won on 0 seconds. I was very hyped too. It was good. Yeah, we really enjoyed playing it. I mean, we had some great games and some good moments. It was good fun.
Yeah, I think you've caught pretty much all of them. Lawrence's Mordisha shot against, was it Kiel? Have you said this one? Is this the one you were referencing before? The one that obscenely close to the top corner actually bounced in off the upper right from a stupid amount of distance. That's one that's.
Oh, I mean, Mordisha had several very, very nice shots.
He was shooting obscenely well.
Yeah. The backpack was big enough from them.
That is, fair enough. Podcast viewers should be able to see the clips, so we'll just sort of scatter those about when you've
Very
said them.
nice. I think I spoke for vaguely long enough for you to show the
did,
clip
actually.
in the background for each of them. That's what I attempted, so maybe you can do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the technical capabilities of this.
We
operation.
we'll see. We'll see. I think the tagline.
I mean, that should be easy.
Uh huh.
That's the person who's not editing.
Yeah.
No.
No, I'm sure I'll find something. Yeah, that should be fine. Right, I think. Well, frame by frame, just moving across. Yeah. Of course, right. I think we've got our last sort of organized question for you here, Zouch. What do you think was the key to making it as far as you guys did?
Well, getting carried. That's the first one. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think crucially, it's that me and Laurent Mordisha play together loads. He's really good.
Of course.
And Will is kind of the perfect player to complete that for us, because he's definitely better than both of us, but in a particular way where he's really good at filling in all of the gaps positionally and being sufficiently creative so that me and Modisha can read each other and generate good plays from the gaps that will basically something like that.
I was like,
Could ask one thing I noticed, I didn't make mention of it on stream, but while I was watching you guys on Tuesday, I thought personally that there was a slight sort of overall positional shift in your approach to the game. Do you guys feel like you and Lawrence, this is Mordisha, do you feel like there's been a sort of conscious effort to play a bit calmer in recent weeks and months? Obviously, I haven't seen you play in quite some time, so it's going to be on for a while. But I remember in previous attempts where I've casted Durham, particularly, I mean,
Yeah,
going
that
back
was a
to spring,
different Durham.
summer at this
We
point,
had
but
different.
yeah, it was. But there were sort of, I think, overcommits and sort of things like that were often a bit of a pitfall. Do you feel like you're playing calmer, or is that just a different team making a different setup work?
I think a calmer play style is the product and not an intention.
Okay,
It's
that's
just that,
consequence.
yeah, I think for sure us being calmer and more organized is a consequence of our synergy, if we have any, and
I thought you did.
and Will being, as I say, creative and very positionally proactive is the main thing. His proactivity allows us to be calm and take time. Yes.
nice. Best part of all that, I was lagging. It's pretty cool. But no, it wasn't like, so bad that I can't get any. I'll probably just put some subtitles on this one. It's a lot easier. It's still going. This is really fun. God, I love Vision Media. Okay, I think it reset itself again. Oh God, I need to sort this out. Okay, right. In terms of what actually happens when lag happens, I'll just do some subtitles. Honestly, I think that'd be fine. Let's say at the start, I was lagging. You know, Virgin Media, the dickheads, stuff like that. And people would be fine with that. So.
You could very easily in
next week and
subsequent
stuff.
episodes get people to record their own audio.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
a
and that's
beat
the
from
thing,
Windows.
That is true. We do clap syncs. Oh, that's what clap syncs are for.
Yeah, that would be very easy to do.
Bruh. Okay. You feel first folks tips from the guys I am actually interviewing on how to run my own show because I'm an idiot. This is exactly what I needed. Okay.
It's the first try, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, that would actually be like.
Are you intending on making it? How long is it going to be?
I mean, so far
Whole
we've got. Well.
Exactly as long as the recording, no more, no less.
Jeez,
probably-
nobody's here.
Nah,
Nobody's
we
listening
can cut some stuff. It's
I'm
fine.
listening to it.
to this. Yeah.
I'll listen through like on the
I
day
think
make the
it needs-
decision.
It definitely needs some trimming and
Yeah.
just boosting the efficiency.
Yeah.
at the time.
All
Mhm.
about the efficiency.
Yeah. Zouch, do you have anything you want to shout out?
I want to shout out everybody involved with Durham production. Thanks to them. Thanks for the casting. Thanks for the running of the tournament. Thanks for my arms. They're always by my side. Yeah. My hands. I can always count on them.
How many,
And
how many years have you been waiting for someone to ask you this question? You can wheel out those lines.
All the classics. Let's go.
my legs. I can lean on them. That's for sure. No, I've not made any preparations for shout-outs. No doubt I'm forgetting somebody. Thanks to my teammates for giving me a nice old carry, as always. Yeah.
Sorry, let me go.
Right. Wait. Oh. Okay.
Hemi, come on.
Bro.
Hey, this isn't great.
Okay.
I don't feel very welcome.
You don't feel very welcomed. Well, I'm about to introduce you, so you can hold off your feeling of
I'll
not welcome.
introduce myself. Why are you not going to introduce me?
Hemi, do you want me to do it? Or
Go
you
for
do
it. Go for it. Fine. Just take over. It's your podcast.
So, oh my God. So our final guest needs no introduction, but he'll get one anyway. We'll be talking to Thupreem from UEA about the team's epic run in tournament and eventual win over Durham to claim title winners of Society Showdown tournament. Welcome to the show.
Hi guys, really excited to be here.
You definitely sound it.
I've never been on a podcast before, so this is like new ground.
Well, we're just sort of vibing, mate. You know? It's pretty
We are
chill.
in the University Rocket League scene right now. So there's a
True.
lot of pressure on your responses.
True. Millions of views.
And
Okay.
We'll never vote hit him.
Right, got our first questions. Okay. As I gather, you did not actually play in the tournament. You were production for UEA, is that correct? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I was production.
Okay, I would still very much like to hear your opinion on how you thought the team as a whole performed in the tournament.
Well, I think they did sick. Not gonna lie. I think me, along with pretty much every other person who follows University Rocket League, thought they would be way worse because obviously they replaced me. I got a lot of highlight plays and stuff. Like as a team, I was kind of the head of the offense with someone who is a much more conservative player, a lot lower MMR. But I think what it allowed them to do is it let KJ and Ant-Man actually rotate because I don't know how to do that. And that really, I think, won the games. And I think overall, they're definitely better as a team than it was when we on it now.
That's fair enough.
I was going to say, going into what I thought was the most important moment was the reverse sweep against Salford. How did UEA manage to come back from that, and how do they feel going into the final?
Well, the reverse sweep was pretty sick. I mean, I was pretty worried in Game 3 when Salford scored first, and I was like, well, we're kind of ruined now. Because, to get a reverse sweep, you need some big momentum. But KJ absolutely popped off that game. He played insane. He got some air dribble bump plays, huge demo plays, and then, the demo plays just started showing up. I think all 3 games ended with a demo bump play by KJ and Ant in the last less than 5 seconds. It was ridiculous. And I can't imagine how much that must have just ruined Salford's mental. You go into a game, you're all tied up, and then you get demo bumped with 4 seconds left, twice in a row. We had basically won by the time we got those 2 games. So, yeah, I was really impressed with that. And going into the finals, I mean, no offense to Durham, but our bracket had 2 teams already that are probably better than Durham.
Bold claim.
So, I do think Salford, if they keep playing with Jiggy and learn how to play with him, and Loughborough, probably both better than Durham, and we handled them pretty well. So, and no one was really stressed going into the final.
And obviously, you mentioned there was a few last-minute goals and whatnot. But what was your favourite moment from the tournament?
Probably the demo play in the last game of Salford. There's a clip of it somewhere. I'm not sure where. I'm sure we'll find it. and you'll put it up behind right now, Hemi, like a good editor.
Yeah.
But I was just screaming and laughing. It's so funny. It's so funny. But I'll be honest, I don't really remember the last few games because we were playing drinking games. And by the time it got to Durham, I was fucked. Like fully, I was really gone. Also, apologies to anyone who I flamed or BM'd during the stream, but I'm sure you guys deserved it. So yeah.
By anyone, you mean everybody?
Everyone,
every team,
absolutely,
yeah.
all of the people.
Yeah.
We heard there was some controversial GGs going in as well.
Well, I wasn't wrong, was I? It's like we're 4-0 up against Liverpool with 30 seconds left. GG.
I mean,
why did you say it early? It's already over.
You
Chill
said
out.
you said GG when there were 20 seconds left in our game, and they were 1 goal ahead. So that's a little bit more plausible.
Yeah, but by that point, I mean, by that point, I was
You're
just
making
throwing
the
everything
executive
left and
decision
right.
that the game was over.
We can
I'd
go
say
back to
that's
the
it.
stream, and I made an overlay that I was supposed to put up for when I think GG is called.
Yeah.
But you know, I didn't end up using it because I forgot about it.
Well, it
Overall.
was overtime goal, so you couldn't really.
Yeah. Also, I did get confused because I thought that was game 2 or game 3. I didn't think we had won the series. But yeah, that was a really unfortunate last goal by Mord.
Happens.
The pre-flip own goal. But oh well.
Did you have your overlays the right way round for the final?
I don't think
It's
so.
a really boring question, but
I'm pretty sure
they
we have.
joined
good-
the wrong
it's
team
good
going
content,
into
boys.
the wrong team going into the final.
Only the most
And it took
invigorating
about 2
competition.
full minutes. It was only when UEA scored and it said 1-0 Durham on the side of my thing. I was like, hang on a minute.
I mean, our overlays were pretty bad. So I just want to say I don't know how to use OBS at all. It's the first time I'd ever done
same.
any overlay. And so I was struggling to remember at all. So that was a bit bad.
That might have been the Stella.
That could have been Stella. One of the two, maybe a combination of both. But yeah, no, I thought it was really fun, and they played really well. It was sick to watch, especially the reverse sweep. Yeah, it was sick. Proud
Yeah,
of the boys.
they did play really well. I think what you said earlier is definitely right. I was looking at some statistics for our last series, and interestingly, KJ is the one now. He's the primary one who's doing the, offensive opportunity generation, whereas before he was definitely not that. But now he is, and Ant-Man is kind of like midfield turnover guy, and then Queen Scots is very solid in defense, or at least he was against us. So that they have a good little thing going on at the moment for sure.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a lot better because now instead of me being the only person on offense and just kind of chasing about, going for redirects, going for just dumb stuff, solo plays and all that, it's 2 people who are really good doing team plays while Harry or Queen Scots II just watches them and sits third man, and then he'll occasionally get like a free shot, and he has some really good shooting. He just bangs it in. So, it's a really good team chemistry thing they have now. And they have also been playing a ton together. They have been scrimming a lot. They play IEL together as a team, so they're getting a lot more scrims in than I think any other team would be, university-wise. Which is another big improvement because we never scrimmed when I was on the team.
Yeah, I think that's probably the main factor why they won against us, Brio.
Oh, what was my next question? Bruh, you done that for me.
It's weird. I feel like I've heard these questions before, like someone sent them to me so that I could prepare the answers, but I don't know. That's just how I feel about it, Weird
Right.
inkling.
Well, we have to do that because sometimes our guests don't have the intellectual capacity to think on their feet.
That's true. Zouch is pretty dumb.
Thank you.
There's your clickbait thumbs.
True.
University dropout calls Ivy the Russell League student dumb. Yeah, that's clickbait, all bold.
Pog.
And a picture of Hemi making a pog face.
Bruh. Okay, we're not doing that.
Next make the pog face. I don't mind. I'll make a pog face.
There's no Pogface happening.
How are you gonna get viewers then without a clickbait like?
Fine, well, I'll think about it. I'll think
We'll
about
get
the
Darko to
Pogface.
tweet it, and he's got lots of followers.
That's
True.
Lacto, get the boys in.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
All in all the favours.
I think since we've already sort of covered the main factors for your imminent success, or UAE's imminent success,
Eminent.
Imminent. What is about to
Eminent.
happen?
It's about to happen right now.
It's not eminent, it's eminent.
Wanna try that one again, mate?
you all know it's not my first language, right? Just leave me alone.
Oh, you didn't grow up speaking Welsh.
I did.
From the side.
No. Right. Anyway,
Alright,
we-
take two.
no, we'll keep that in. We can move on to the last question. I'm not going back over it. That's enough. Anyway, on to the last question that we have for you, or at least pre-written. How did you guys celebrate your victory on Tuesday?
I went back to the pub.
Nice.
I don't know what everyone else did. Yeah, no clue. You know, it was pretty light work of a night. I don't think anyone was that bothered. We went in expecting to win. We got that. You know, not much to celebrate if it's just an expected thing.
That's
15 clickbait thumbnails a sentence out
Is
of-
that
out of
Tox?
Thupreem at the moment.
Is that Tox from Vodafone Giants talking?
damn.
Just now that I don't have any need to like back up my words, I can just be as toxic and as big ego as I want since I no longer play.
Dangerous
Play
role.
back.
No one can put you in your place anymore.
Yeah, no one can do it, so it's fine.
Okay, I think there's another question I wanted to ask. How do UEA plan on taking this victory from the tournament and translate that over into a long-term success?
Well, I mean, like I said, they're keeping on practicing. This is a good first tournament for us. I think everyone's gonna up them in their tier lists a bit, and yeah, just keep playing together a lot. IO will get them better, scrims will get them better, and then I think when NSC rolls around, does that start next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've shown only team that comes close is Salford, and obviously no one's seen UE play, but yeah, I think it'll be good.
No one in England has ever heard of Salford either.
How do you pronounce it?
Salford.
Salford.
Surely not.
We're annoying and don't pronounce it properly.
Soul. Why don't you spell it with an OU?
I don't know.
No, it's like salt. It goes salt.
Salt.
Yeah.
Right, that was dumb. That.
Anyways, I think
Salford, yeah.
anything else you guys want to ask? Maybe a channel? No?
Questions?
So are you putting UEA in S tier with only what UWE and Salford?
Okay,
Is that-
okay.
is that-
My
is that-
changes, I think, are
Mhm.
if I'm doing a tier list now, I think UEA goes up, Portsmouth goes down to low A, UEA goes S, Loughborough goes down in A, Nottingham Trent goes down to like B, I think. I don't know how they played so poorly. UE stays the same until proven otherwise. Hold on. I'll need to get a picture of my tier list.
Oh god. I was gonna put it over the top of this little segment
I
and
think
just let it.
Kiel probably moves up a bit.
Where are they at the moment?
They're low A.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They
I think
played really
Kiel
well.
moves up a bit. I can't. What was their record? They were
We
the other
beat
side of
we
the-
beat them. They beat Portsmouth. They lost to Warwick.
Yeah, yeah.
Bruh.
So I think Warwick. I didn't think Warwick would be that good, to be honest. I was one of the Warwick doubters.
The Warwick.
Well, everyone's like, they have Treefork now. It's gonna be mad. They're gonna be insane. But, you know, I don't think they're as good as everyone's saying. Same with Bournemouth. Like, they have two players that don't play the game anymore, which is a big deal. I think. Like, I don't know if you've ever not played the game for like a week and tried to play Rocket League. It's pretty hard.
Well,
I think someone on Durham might have done quite well.
yeah.
with that
I mean, it wasn't a big deal for Will. For us, for whatever reason,
Yeah, I suppose. But
did really well.
you
A
know,
slightly worse Wilbur's probably still a good player.
they're still all good. I'm not saying they're bad or anything. And then they also have the thing of Wardley and Will and Cloud, that whole relationship with
That's true. The
knowing, like,
dynamic.
Cloud in his interview. I don't know how they've patched over that one so smoothly. So I think they still stay the same. Mid A level. Portsmouth might go down, but they weren't playing with their full roster, right?
No, that's their full roster.
I think that's I wasn't made aware of anything.
No,
that is the roster. They were changing names every game.
They had
Copy
Kanoi,
Will.
Psycho, and Esper.
I thought that would have done better, to be honest.
Probably. I think that's just
I
team.
think that stays the same. Maybe it's their first game. Liverpool probably stays the same. High B. BCU can drop way down. I mean,
Do you
I
mean
don't-
Birmingham normally or Birmingham City University? You got to get the distinctions right.
That one's Birmingham.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one
Oh,
you're
are we
thinking
all
of
looking at my
Euro.
tier list now?
Yeah,
Do we all have it up? Okay. Birmingham, yeah, they can go down. Durham gets to go up. Probably mid A.
Where do we go? Mid A. Are we
Yeah.
above or below Warwick?
Okay, so I think above Warwick.
Okay.
Okay, so
You
if
made
you're
it.
looking
You
at
promised that.
you know, can I make one while we're doing this? Can I
Oh,
straight
for-
myself making one?
God's sake. I don't have no. No, we don't. No the time.
Never mind.
that's
I
the
was gonna
other
say
main-
I want to
Well,
move
okay.
them. Like,
Why don't you make one and then
What-
you can send the
what I'm
image,
going to
and
do,
then
okay?
that can go up now.
Yeah, what I'm going to do is
The
I'm gonna take the old tier list, and whenever Thupreem makes a change, I'm gonna just draw on it with like a red thing, and hopefully that will just like fix itself, and then we'll put the new one up at the end so everyone knows what's happening.
Okay. So starting from S then, UE stays. Salford stays. UEA goes in between UE and Salford. LSU stays in highest A. Then you move Nottingham Trent back to low A. Portsmouth back to low A. Barracudas move up. Warwick moves up. Kiel moves up. Durham moves up before Warwick, but after Barracudas.
Wait.
Liverpool's
After
Yeah.
Birmingham.
no,
that's
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. I got it. My bad.
After Bournemouth, before Warwick. So A would be Loughborough, Bournemouth, Durham,
You're keeping Trent
the
up
other
there.
teams. Trent stays A. I just still think Trent is A. I think maybe Misty hasn't played or they're rusty or something. But I do think Misty's really good. He's like,
Played
No.
with them in a long time, certainly.
yeah. I think he has like the psycho Tylacto like
Yeah.
quality of being able to hard carry a team, you know?
100%.
And then Liverpool, I think, stays the same, low B. So this is not BCU. This is BU.
This is Birmingham Uni.
Birmingham Uni. They can go down. I don't know where. Low B, maybe C.
Wow.
They didn't make it in the quals. Like they didn't even make it to finals in the qualifiers.
They lost
so-
to Sussex, didn't
They
they?
lost
They
to
did.
Sussex, who I said was going to be good. I knew they were going to be good. They can go up. I like Sussex. Sussex can go to Sussex can go to the second behind Liverpool in B, right? They had it. They had the qualification. I was watching Chinny's stream the entire time. It was sick. But they were like, they got reverse swept twice by Liverpool.
Yeah, it was a bit harsh, really, for them.
So it was a bit awful, to be honest. And then a lot of these teams, I think the rest of them probably stay the same. Maybe Bath goes up to low B. Maybe
Love to see it.
I don't know. I can't remember the bracket for you
I
guys.
think it'd be interesting to see the likes of Essex as well. Like
Yeah, Essex.
well,
I think
we
Essex will
haven't
be
seen.
really good because they have Switch, who's an all
Yeah.
one of the sick players.
Oh, he came
Although
up from the
obviously-
college scene, didn't he, this year? Is that Switch that I'm thinking of? Is he a fresher?
Yeah, I don't know.
I saw
Russia-
him
I
play.
think he went last year, but was
Oh, really? Oh,
I
I'm
don't think
thinking
they
Switch
might
now.
not have had a team. I'm not sure. You're probably thinking of the same Switch.
I don't think
He's
this
like-
matters.
Yeah. So I mean, who else is important here? Lankers. Yes, they can stay C. Maybe go down. I think everyone knew when they lost Tylacto, like it's not really a team anymore.
Oh, there's
well,
your clip.
There. We
I
got 'em
said it.
both.
I said it in my tier list tweet. I've already said you can only have Tylacto at uni for so long. Like, you
Yeah.
know, they're just. It's like it's such a big loss losing an RLCS player. It's like, whoa, yeah, you're obviously going to be way worse. And then is Films playing even?
Don't think so, no. I think he's taking
And who
a
else
break.
here that is important?
We were saying with some intel we've received is Chichester will be forming a team with Breezy. And
Really?
Yes, they've entered a team for NSC. So
With
that will be an
Breezy
interest with Breezy on the
on the
roster.
team.
On the roster, yeah.
Who else is in it? Does anyone know?
Their accounts, we can't see all of them, but it looks like they've got at least.
Well, if it's Breezy and 2 at least GCs, then that's a high A team, maybe S team, depending on how high the GCs are. I think, like, that's the same as Tylacto. That's the same as Lankers. Basically, like,
Yeah.
you know, as long as they have one person who's above 1800 and one person who's above 1700, that's the same as Lankers when they've won 3 NSCs in a row. So that will be a sick team.
But there's been significant inflation of quality for everybody else
Yes,
compared to
true.
those days.
Well, yes and no. I think a lot of the inflation in quality comes from just rank inflation itself. Like,
yes.
so I mean, you see, like, I think anyone with decent mechanics and like a brain can get above 1900 last season, especially with how long it went on. I mean, I got 2K, so like it's not impressive, I think, getting high MMR anymore, which is why I think the teams that I rank highly are teams with players who have done well outside, or we just know are really good. So like that's why I think UE, because they're the only team with a current RLCS player other than Chichester now. Salford has a B+ player and then 2 good tournament players, Madam at Loughborough, and Nottingham Trent. That's why I think when I made this first, they're all going to be the best teams, because everyone else, it's like, you know, you're good at ranked, you played a lot of ranked games, you got high MMR, but does that really matter?
Well, I think that was also one of the notable things from Chinny's stream with Distan. Distan was very much a tournament player in the sense of he knew what to do, he knew how to break teams down, he knew what information to tell his teammates to get them to do the job they needed to do.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Underrated ability.
So yeah, I think I reckon surprise teams. I already said Sussex, right? I back the boys. Brighton, I think will probably do good, because we all know how hard Farrell can carry.
Yep.
Like, so if Farrell pops, it's like Brighton is another really good dark horse team. Portsmouth, I think, still obviously really good. I know everyone's like, you know, it's Portsmouth, they're always going to be scary, but I think that's like, they're no longer like obvious seconds team. I think they're, you know, obviously a lot worse now, but I think they can still be really, really good.
Okay, I think we have run out of time. So to wrap things up, Thupreem, do you have anything you want to shout out? Any people, any socials, wherever you want? It'll be in the description anyways. Anything you want to
I'll
know.
plug the UEARL Twitter. I don't know what the Twitter is.
UEA Rocket League.
But
I'll tag you
I
about
know
that.
UEA Rocket League has a Twitter account.
It's
I'm
that
mad if
UEA
I
Rocket
didn't
League.
plug it.
Cool. Nice. And finally, our guest who's been here for most of the time, Channel, do you have anything you would like to shout out or give a highlight to?
I don't know. I have a Twitter. It's not very interesting. I don't do anything on it, so I don't know why you check it out. But if that somehow compelled you to check it out, it's the same as my username on everything else. I'd like to shout out Sin one final time for helping me put this all together.
True.
That's about it, really.
Okay. I think we are done then, so thank you very much for joining us for this episode. This has been the University Rocket League podcast. Oh, yeah.
And thank you very much to our guests for joining us and helping us out today.
Of
Thank
course.
you. Goodbye.
Thanks for having us.
Bye-bye.